Oh shit. First off, here's the introduction screen.
Welcome everybody to the Something Touched Me podcast. I'm Matt. This is Miguel. We're co-workers. We have these crazy conspiracy theory conversations almost routinely. Monday after the weekend, Wednesdays, Fridays, Thursdays. It doesn't really effing matter.
Yep.
To be fair, we got on a random conversation about the Mayans, and it really spun us off into uh, some crazy conversations that turned us into conspiracy theories after conspiracy theory, and we thought about just bottling it up and putting it out for everyone else to either listen to or chime into. So on this, we hope to just touch on anything that kind of really touches us. Coming from conspiracy theories, family, friends, weird things that we can think of.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
blanket statement. Yeah.
100%. And this is obviously this is the first time that we put this all together, so things are a little bit weird, out of place. We're gonna stumble a lot. We're gonna trip over ourselves a little bit.
It's gonna be a great time.
Feel out the process. A lot of it's gonna be just fucking with the equipment, making sure it's working right. Can I cuss on?
You already did, dude.
We already did. All right. And so we're really excited to get this started. Uh, so you and I probably spend, I would say, probably an hour a
Too
week,
much time.
an hour and a half. Just we'll be like talking about work stuff, and we're like, yeah, we do 3D printing, and we're just like talking about 3D printers and stuff, or not 3D printers and stuff, but like work related, and then we'll just like we'll go ham on his little whiteboard, and we'll just start drawing and talking all these crazy wacky conspiracies, and we talk for some, like I said, sometimes up to an hour, and we'd be all right. You know what? These conversations are really good. We should probably record them or go live with them, because other people might want to hear what the fuck we're talking about, because it's really weird shit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It opens up the other doors for other conversations.
Definitely.
So one of the most recent ones that kind of sparked this was about the Mayans.
Before we get into the mines, though, yeah, I wanted to bring up a topic.
Oh God.
So there's this guy that I follow on TikTok. I don't know I'll shout him out next time we do this. But there's this guy I follow on TikTok that he's deep in conspiracy theories as well, but his favorite conspiracy is the conspiracy of the Tartarians. And I only know the gist of it, so I definitely want to dive in and do an episode at some point where we really digest all the the crazy like theories behind the Tartarians. But basically, Tartarians it's like this ancient civilization that lived around the 17. I shouldn't even say ancient. It's not that long ago. It's like the 1700s, 1800s, right? Advanced civilization. They had motorcycles and cars and roads and
They had
motor vehicles, crazy structures, like all types of just like advanced
Where is
shit.
this?
So I looked it up. Some people think that they were all over the place. Some people think that they were in Chicago, New York, like everywhere. Like that our civilization was actually a lot more advanced than we think it was, but there was this great reset that happened during what they call the mudslides, which is like basically this huge mudslides happened all across the earth and wiped out a bunch of civilizations, cities, buried cities under the ground, and the civilization that came after, which they call the Great Reset.
So the mudslides is when the Earth shifted its axis, right? So that would have been the cataclysmic event that would have enabled like the whole enactment of just like vicious storms that would create a bunch of water, creates movement in the plates and all this other stuff.
And then all of a sudden you got all this mud just piling on to, like, again, you had roads and cities and all the civilizations, and basically these mudslides come through, bury all of these cities, and a lot of the cities that are, or a lot of the structures that are tall enough, and I'm talking like buried in like 10, 12 inches of, or inches,
Right.
feet of dirt or mud, but there was obviously buildings tall enough to survive, at least, peaking the surface. And so some of the weird images that they post to like talk, like to basically confirm that this existed, is they'll show, like, for example, a huge building built in like the 1800s, and then they show it being like obviously like it's on an incline or something, and the it looks like half the building is buried, but then they dig out the building, and there's literally the rest of the building, windows intact, going down into the ground. Which means, like, why would you build a tower and then bury it? You know what I mean? In dirt, you wouldn't.
These were pictures in the 1800s. You're saying?
No, recent pictures.
Oh, recent pictures.
of basically buildings being dug
excavation?
out. Yeah, and some of the things that back this type of a theory is also like the weird monuments that I shouldn't say weird, but the monuments that I think it's in Peru. The tall headed figures that used to just be the face. Remember? There's like tall, long, four-headed figures.
Are you talking about like the
Not
big...
Stonehenge. Is it Stonehenge?
No, that's Easter Island.
Yeah, Easter Island. Those figures, we for the longest thought
it was just a head.
Yeah.
But then they excavated it, and then
it's just mud. Like you just dig, and it's just these big ass. Right?
It's a big stone figure.
So picture that, but with cities. Picture that, but like you just buried New York City, and now the only structures that are left are just the tops of the structures.
Right.
Chicago, same thing. And they talk about this, and they're like, yeah, if you look at, for example, like the structures that existed early 1800s, early 1900s, it's like some crazy architecture. You're talking like the trim, the moldings, the windows, like all the features on the buildings are just like beautiful and handcrafted.
Right.
And you look at buildings today, they're like minimalistic, sharp, whatever.
Yeah.
But they're like, yeah, if there was a civilization back in that time that could create these beautiful, incredible, massive architectures, right? They must have been pretty advanced, and they must have had a lot of tools, a lot of people. Where did all these things go? Why all of a sudden was there such a decline in a very short period of time from beautiful, crazy, cement-like structures to now you have like these kind of, buildings that are being built. So, but that's the Tartarian conspiracy. It's that there was a civilization. It was buried. Everyone has been told to hush, don't talk about it, and we move along. Basically, we continue living regardless of no one talks about the Great Reset. If you talk about the Great Reset, you're crazy, basically.
And you're saying that this happened in like this theory it happened in between the 17 and 1800s.
Yeah, that's what the theory is, that all of this took place around the 1800s. Yes, I know it's batshit crazy, but that's the theory. Right?
I need to be sold.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I'm not buying.
I know. But
I'm not biting on that one.
All right. Let me just make sure that. So let's see.
What you doing?
So here's the podcast. I just want to make sure that this is working. So it is. Share. Copy. I'm just gonna send it to you. So I can have it. Awesome. Yeah, just so we can share it. I'm gonna share it with a few friends too, just to get the word out, and then we'll get started with our main topic, which is boom, copy. Sent it to Matt Henry probably would want to.
Oh, Matt would be loving this.
Yeah, he'd love this shit. But...
Oh, so I'm actually watching the live stream on my phone. So
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're
I
good.
was like, I thought you were just sending me like a clip. My bad.
No,
All right,
I'm gonna
send
mute
that.
this.
Send this to the
So let's go back to
I see. I see what's going on here. So hold on. Get rid of this.
All right. So, I think we're good. Are you good?
Good.
I think we're good.
Yeah, we can get back to it.
All right. All right. So, Now that we got that out of our system,
Yeah, now that we got
we'll
that
talk
out.
about we'll talk about that soon. Pancho in the chat.
Pancho.
Pancho's in the chat. What up, Pancho?
What
Thank
up,
you for
Pancho?
supporting. He always supports no matter what. He was one of my like every time I turn on my Pokemon podcast, the guy was in the building, like ready to talk. And we did a was it a it was like a conspiracy theories Thursday type conversation, but it wasn't really. It was just like, hey, let's all get together in a chat room and just talk.
Okay.
It was really cool.
And it is twisted into conspiracy theories. Nice.
Cool shit.
Nice. Turn it up. So can you not hear us?
Oh, turn it up. Oh, I thought he meant like turn up. My bad. All right. Maybe I just got to get a little closer to this.
Yeah, that could very well be. Also, my voice does not carry, period.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I'm probably going to have to like eat this mic for you guys to hear me.
Yeah, let me see if maybe I can turn it up in the settings. Audio. Oh no, it was over here. Oh, dude, my battery's also dying. It's charging. What? Battery is not charging.
The battery is not charging. Your adapter is not charging.
My boy.
Yeah, so while Miguel's working on the technical difficulties, so we were recently talking about the Mayans, and I brought up just like the whole fact that the Mayans didn't necessarily disappear. We understand this, and there's still Mayan, some. What would you say?
There's still Mayans today.
There's still Mayans today, right?
But it's not a civilization. It's not like a pop-in city with all this technological advancements. It's not like for how advanced they were. They should have been like traveling space by now.
Right, but exactly. But I mean, to the appreciation of the Mayans and how successful and how civilized they actually were. Like,
were they civilized though?
Well, but how many? Okay, so when we're talking about like just what they were able to do, so we understand that like they resurrected pyramids. How many pyramids do you think they resurrected?
My understanding. So I know there's.
Now I'm not talking like great.
Yeah.
Pyramid of Giza size pyramids, right?
No.
Talking pyramids.
Yeah.
How many do you think they made?
I'm gonna guess 3.
2,000.
2,000 pyramids?
Yes, sir. There's 2,000. There's over 2,000 fucking pyramids.
Where did they?
Everywhere, everywhere, and anything.
What the
crazy?
Fuck?
Yes.
All right, I did not know that. So let's talk, Pancho. I don't know if you hear us, Pancho, but or whoever else is in the chat. But can you hear our volume a bit better now that we're closer to the mic? I know you're at work, so if you can't reply, it's all good. But let's talk a little bit about the history of the Mayans. All right, so I'll start talking a little bit about these topics, and then you can just
I got you.
Chime in.
Go ahead.
All right, so let's give an overview of the Mayan civilization. And yes, we did use Chat GTP for some of this stuff.
Quite a bit.
99%.
Just some background.
Overview of the Mayan civilization. So the Mayan civilization was a complex society that was developed in what is now Mexico and Central America. Now, one of the things that's really cool about the Mayans is that it wasn't. So I thought it was just Mexico, but no, it's like Mexico, Central, and like it was like 3 or 4 different countries that it spanned in, which is nuts. They had a huge network of city-states across the region. The Maya developed a sophisticated system of writing, mathematics, astronomy, and made significant advances in art, architecture, and agriculture. And we're going to talk a little bit deeper in some of these different topics. But the Mayan civilization declined and eventually collapsed in the post-classic period, which is 900 CE to 1521 CE. And Matt and I were just talking about this. We don't know where CE came from and why AD is all of a sudden gone. I only hear you in my left headphone. Other guy I hear in both ears. I wonder why.
I don't know. It's all your fault, dude. You set all this up. I helped a little bit.
Fucking stupid, bro. I wonder if it's this correction, maybe? Oh, here it is. So this is front left. Oh, like that. No. What? What if I take off drift correction?
Is that any better?
I don't know. Maybe that's better. Or I can also Test 1 2. I think I can go down. So down mix to mono. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. I think that might be better.
That probably is better.
I think that's better, right, Pancho? I'll wait. I'll see what you say.
Yeah. Anyone that can hear us, just let us know in the chat. We're just gonna continue on.
Yep. So in terms of religion, the Mayans practiced a polytheistic religion with a pantheon of gods, including the maize god, which is corn, the sun god, and the rain god. The Mayans believed in a cyclical view of time, and they developed a complex calendar system that combined solar and lunar cycles. The Mayans also practiced human sacrifice as a way of appeasing the gods. Overall, Mayan civilization was a rich, complex society with rich cultural legacy that continues to influence the world today.
Right. So, I read the same thing on Chat GTP, and I was like, I want to know more about the darker side. Like, what's up with this? Like, human sacrifice. This, like, what are you guys doing this, and why? So they weren't sacrificing daily or whatever it was. It was always in, if they were resurrecting a monument or a statue or a pyramid, or they were bracing in a new king or something of that nature, then they would sacrifice either a prisoner of war, just some knucklehead that was in the village and they got caught up doing something stupid.
Much like you save your fine china for a special event.
Or children.
Or kids.
Right. So then I was like, holy crap. Why are they sacrificing children?
Okay, but picture this. Do your chores or you're going to be next in line. Imagine. The kids were doing their... That's why they were so advanced. The kids were like, I don't know, I'm good, bro.
Well, why do you think they learned like astrology and like superseded in math and like building everything? It's like...
Yeah, they didn't want to be sacrificed.
Right, yeah. No, but no, they were sacrificing children only on very prestigious events that were like deemingly necessary for like some kind of like famine or drought or something that they were dealing with. So they weren't like Dahmers and incarcerated, but were reincarnated. But
so I'm just gonna comment on the human cannibalism part a little bit. So talk a little bit about this.
Oh, you do you? Yeah.
While I do that, if you don't mind, could you look up how these sacrifices happened? Like, did they have a because I think of like you know the movie I'm Sparta where they kick the guy into the pit. Yeah, I just wonder, did they have a pit or was it like throw him into the lions? Throw him in.
All right, let's ask chat. Let's see what he says.
See what ChatGPT tells you. But one thing that I found out literally like within like the last year is that I think it's menudo, which is a traditional dish that I've had growing up since I was a kid. You have it for breakfast. You have it for primarily for breakfast. You know, family, like especially like relatives would have menudo if it was like a day after a party. You're hungover as shit. You want something spicy and greasy in your system. You chow down on some menudo. Well, it turns out menudo. It's either menudo or pozole. I don't know which one of the two, but it turns out that either one of those two dishes stems back. It started in consuming human meat as a part of this dish. So it stemmed from cannibalism and then evolved over time to being like, hey, we're not cannibals anymore. Chill out. Make it out of like pig or cow, whatever. But yeah, it started. And so it's crazy to think that when I eat menudo, or like if I were to be like if I would go even back 500 years, 600 years, I'd probably be eating a person if I was eating that dish. Which is kind of crazy.
Yo, okay.
All right.
So I got some. So methods of sacrifice included beheading, drowning, and burning. And some sacrifices were carried out in elaborate public ceremonies that involving dancing, music, and other ritual activities. So meaning we're gonna throw this big ass party and we're gonna kill this dude or this person.
Jesus Christ.
Child. And then it's also to note that the most well-known method of sacrifice among the Maya was heart extraction, which involved cutting open the chest of the victim and removing their heart while they were still alive.
What?
The heart would then be offered to the gods as a symbol of gratitude and supplication. I mean, if I'm
How
a
do you
guy,
even get to the heart though?
they cut the chest open and
I
they're
get that.
gonna break open your chest and they're gonna rip your chest.
God.
It's like Mortal Kombat, man.
Yeah,
They're just gonna rip it in there.
Get over here.
Yeah, they're just gonna rip it out.
Dude, that's terrifying.
While people are dancing and singing and
Just-
ceremony, they're just getting
I wonder
down,
if
and
you're
then it's just like, get over here.
I wonder if you're the sacrifice one. Are you like excited for it?
Do you even know? Do you have time to know?
Or do you
Or is
even
it like a lottery? Can you imagine?
Who's it gonna be?
Who's it gonna
I don't
be?
know, man. It's not me. Whoa,
Put your name's in the bucket, man. I'm sorry.
let's
And it's like,
see.
how many pennants do you
Who
get?
has number 473?
Right. It's like, yeah, go around to all the little drug lords that are running all these little cities and everything in the
Oh,
Maya,
my Lord.
and they're just like, okay, give me your names, and they just drop a bunch in a bucket and everything, and it's just like every time you do something stupid, it's like your name's going in the bucket, and then
Figure out how there has to be
there
a
has
method
to be
of
a
selection.
selection method.
Yeah, see if you can figure out. But imagine if the method of selection is like who gets the smallest straw, right?
Fuck that.
Imagine the pressure, dude. Like, it's like Russian roulette times 1,000. Especially if you're gonna get your heart ripped out in front of everyone dancing. And again, it might be one of those things where you're like, oh, I hope it's me. You know what? You never know. You might be like, I hope it's me because I'm tired of cleaning up people's
I mean,
shit.
I'm sure they don't look at like, okay, this guy old, he's decrepit and everything. We can let him go
Mhm.
because at this point he's not giving anything to society. I don't
That's
think
kind of fucked up.
right.
If we
Okay,
have any
and
old
that's
people
a fucked up
watching,
way to think of that.
any old people watching, I don't mean it. He means it.
It was me. It was me. I said it. But
Something touched
I
you
didn't
with this
mean it.
guy.
I didn't mean it. We're talking about the Mayan selection of just
Right, yeah.
Okay,
100%,
right.
yeah. Old people contribute to society in 2023 is what you're saying. We're not ageist at all. Just a little bit. Did you find the selection?
it's still going.
So as you are going through the selection process, I'm going to talk a little bit about the things
So
that they did.
They would select on physical abnormalities and exceptional beauty, or an inexceptional
Whoa.
beauty.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, imagine.
So if you had like weird appendages
You were
or something like this, and you had a fucked up face and
Dude,
all this other stuff. No,
Oh
like
my
they were
god.
doing like some form of genocide.
That's
like-
that's dark, dude.
It's dark.
That's
It's dark.
Darwin.
Yeah.
Darwin as
Or
fuck.
I mean, on the other side, it would be diplomatic to where they would work with other governments that wanted to give them someone to sacrifice, or a casualty of war. Or
They're not
something
sending
like
their best.
that. Right, somebody that committed treason or something like this, and they were just like, whatever. Okay, you're getting sacrificed, man. We need better crops.
Yep. Damn.
Can
Imagine
you imagine that?
the cards you were dealt, and it's just like
You
fuck
imagine if
you.
you worked for the government, right? You worked for the king. Hands on with the king. You're right. Like you work with the king,
Mhm.
and let's say you fucked up. You
Mhm.
did something wrong.
Mhm.
Your head's on the block, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're waiting for that next celebration.
There's no coming back from this. It's not like, oh shit, I had a bad Monday.
He asked me for
No.
a couple of ice cubes, and I only gave him
You
one.
know, he's like, yeah, we're gonna be throwing a party, bro, and you're gonna be the star.
Yeah, you're just it. You're like, oh, I really hope we don't celebrate this year. No, we're celebrating President's Day, buddy. Come here.
Come here, bud.
All right, so the Mayans had a sophisticated method of or they developed sophisticated system of mathematics that included the use of base 20 numbering system and the symbol for zero. Now I've read this a couple of times, and we read this together. A symbol for zero. So to me it sounds like up until the Mayans there wasn't a symbol for zero. Like the concept of zero wasn't
Understood in mathematics.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and I think that's they use a system to make complex astronomical calculations, including predicting eclipses, tracking movements of planets, which to me, okay, if you can, and this, we're gonna get really deep in this into the conspiracy side of things once we get to the conspiracy part, because right now we're just going over the overview. But when you compare the Mayans and like the Egyptians, there's a lot of similarities. Like how
Well, you're
tight the Egyptians were with the whole astronomical shit.
You're absolutely right, but at the same time, I mean, it would be a hard cry to say that like the Egyptians did not have the ability to explore the ocean and come across, especially at that time period where the continents could have been closer.
Mm-hmm.
And so they didn't have to travel that far across sea. And if you really look at where Africa is in comparison to South America, you know, they travel across, they can get to South America, they're gonna find them and show them some of their ways.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be some Egyptian influence into the Mayas. So maybe that's where they got the idea of that. Plus, the Egyptians were around for like 2,500 years before the Mayan civilization.
Yeah.
The early Mayan civilization.
Yeah. Definitely.
So definitely there's going to be some Egyptian influence, but
Yeah, but the whole like, so I wonder. So if the, because you're right, the Egyptians came well before.
Mhm.
Did they come before the Mayans?
Yes.
They did. So they came before the Mayans. They must have had a concept, the concept of zero. Maybe not a symbol for it, maybe not a way of representing it, but I feel like they had to have. If they were that advanced on the astronomical side of things, like if they knew the placements of the stars, the planets, maybe I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty sure the Egyptians had a very tight connection with
They
the
did.
astrological.
They did. And they also created some foundations as far as hieroglyphics,
astronomical.
astronomical. But they created the hieroglyphics in a way to communicate through written a written way, right? And they brought that foundation over to the Mayans.
Maybe. We don't know
Well,
for sure. We have no idea if the Mayans and the Egyptians ever talked at all. We have no idea if there was ever communication. We don't even know if they had boats or ships at that time. Because
Do you need them?
but what I'm saying is that massive ships back in the early 2000s was not a common thing, right? It wasn't like, oh, people were off in 2000 BC. I mean, Vikings were what?
I have no idea.
But again,
Yeah, I know,
I don't
yes.
think there was like this huge concept of like, all right, we're gonna go to the ocean and we're gonna just travel by sea until we hit something, right? That I think again, we can probably ask ChatGTP to be more accurate, but we would be assuming that the Egyptians had a method of travel across the sea to the Mayans in order to give them any sort of communication. But there's no written evidence. There's no proof that actually happened. So it's just a theory that basically it was passed down from Egyptians to, or vice versa. Maybe the Mayans went and visited Egypt and were like, oh, this is really cool. Let's go make our own over here. Because the pyramids in Egypt are a lot older
Right.
than the Mayan ones.
Right.
Astronomy ties in. The Mayans were skilled astronomers who mapped the movements of the stars, planets with remarkable accuracy. They didn't have a computer back in the day. They didn't have an iPhone.
They didn't have ChatGPT.
They did not have ChatGTP. They developed math, which is insane. And then on top of that, they did. And again, we're covering this because the part that baffles us is the fact that they were this advanced and then just poof, right?
Yes. I mean, the main civilization just
went up
They're
and
still-
vanished.
yeah.
And then there's a few other points, but I just want to highlight also agriculture. The Mayans developed innovative farming techniques that allowed them to cultivate crops in a wide range of environments. And just to go in a little deeper on this, they developed this crop burning process where, in the rainforest, if they wanted to plant crops, maize, whatever the case was, they would burn the agriculture that was there, or burn
the plot.
burn the plot. And then it would create extremely fertile soil where they could plot, or they could plant their seeds. However, this plot of land would then become unfertile for like a few years. So you'd have to wait to be able to plant back in this part of the crop. But it would expedite the growth of the crop, so you'd be able to feed your people faster. And so you would just have to do it in like a sectioned way. So you'd have to plant here, or burn, plant, reap. And then you'd go in the next section, repeat, and then you'd cycle back around and start back over here. So they developed this, and they developed a lot of other techniques to grow crops in extreme like drought and all that.
Creating reservoirs, canals, crops that would build up on a side in a terrace type thing.
Mm-hmm.
They did a lot of things because of a growing population.
Yep.
And that population wasn't small.
No, it was massive.
How
What
big?
did we say? We said it was a network of
Was it 80 cities or
40 to 60 sub-cities that had sub-cities within them. In total, by the end of by the end of, towards the end of the collapse, there was a total of 2,000 city-states that had been developed by the Mayans. And all of these city-states had ruling emperors individually. there was war
Like
between
your
them.
modern day like mayor,
Yeah.
basically,
Exactly.
or
And so
governor.
exactly. So but it was like ruling. Like
They had an army.
you're my people. I tell you what to do. We back each other up, and the Mayan city next door can either eat a dick or it can join us. Basically, that's how it was. And so there was trade between the city states.
But
There was
all of these little city states were governed by one big government body.
I feel like they all just followed the same.
Like they had one king.
Yeah.
They had a king that was basically in charge of all these people, and he wasn't going to manage it all.
We assume.
Assume.
Right. How's my battery on this thing doing? Oh, dude, this thing is still dying.
Yeah, bro. It's Are you plugged directly in?
Let me turn my brightness down on this thing. I don't even know why I have the brightness up on this. Oh, I can cook a steak on this.
That's probably why.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's powering that display over there. Hopefully it doesn't die before we get to the good stuff. So
I don't need this display, unless you want just that display.
no, but I think it's good to have it like that, because we can see that a little bit better. And actually, if I close this, I wonder if it'll shut down or if it'll just transfer to that one.
There's only one way to find out.
What did it do? What did it do?
Hey,
it stayed. It stayed.
It stayed.
All right. So maybe that'll help us save a little bit of battery.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe you take that and put it up on there so they can get air underneath it.
Yeah,
So it's not trying to power it.
Well, I can't because of the fan's back here though. It's
okay.
It's good, and it looks like it's doing a little bit better now. So it's actually moving. All right. So let's talk about the timeline of the Mayan collapse. So in the 8th century CE, the Mayan civilization began to experience a decline in population and abandonment of some of its cities. The decline has been attributed to factors such as climate change, warfare, and political instability. Let's fast forward. By the 10th century, the collapse of the Mayan civilization was largely complete by the 10th century, with many cities and temples being abandoned and the Mayan people disappearing across the region. Some Mayan communities persisted, but their political and cultural influence declined significantly.
Were they all being sacrificed?
They fucking probably. They were probably sacrificing like crazy towards the end. Like
probably.
Imagine
if you're used to that. I mean I also read that when the Spanish conquistador came to the Mayan and started to rule them. It's much like modern day. They didn't like it. They basically disbanded it. Like we're not gonna do this anymore. But up to that point, there was a lot of famine and there was a lot of droughts, and obviously they overcropped and they did a lot of things. So they were starving. It was hot. They had no water. So I'm sure they were just offing anybody that was like pissing them off, and that's why people were just disappearing. Or
yeah,
it could have been something else.
But if you think about like, as the population was declining, as the cities were crumbling, like if sacrifice was their way of begging the gods, I can only imagine that as your cities are starting to collapse. Again, this is, this is the more plausible thing, right? Not what we're about to talk to.
Right.
But the more plausible thing is like, oh shit, our entire like country, quote unquote, is collapsing. What do we do when we have droughts, when we have, we start to sacrifice? So maybe their sacrifice was like, hey, line the fuck up. You, come on over here. Just jump in the.
You're cool, but you, and you.
You're cool.
Exactly.
But yeah, so like if they were again, if they were on the edge, like, oh shit, it's like, think like today in a Christian country, let's just theoretically, like in a Christian country, the country's falling apart. Most of the Christian countries going to say, oh, let me go pray because we want to so same thing with like the Egyptians. If shit was starting to fall apart, like they would pray to the sun god or the whatever, right? So if sacrifice was a method of begging, then maybe that they were just going county by county and saying, all 50 of you fuckers, come on.
Let's go.
So we covered the overview, talked a little bit about some of the advancements, some of the similarities between Egypt.
Now, I think it's worth value though. Like I touched on the Spanish conquistador,
Mhm.
and as when the so it's been documented as the Spanish conquistador came in to the Mayans. They did battle with them for a while. They overthrew them, and but with them, what they brought was sicknesses that were not accustomed to the Mayans, which ultimately led to a lot of their people not being able to.
Oh,
Not,
the snacks. Yeah, go ahead. Go
Oh.
ahead.
yeah, not be able to basically get the medication that they needed, or they had no methodology to it, so that they.
The chips. They're in the pantry. Yep.
Yeah, but so they ultimately would. A lot of people died during those plagues, the Spanish plague, that ravaged all that from the Spanish conquistador. So that's been well documented.
Mhm.
But now we're gonna spin off into some conspiracy.
Well, yes. Now we get into the meat and potatoes of this shit.
Okay.
So, I just asked you, ChatGPT. I said, "Hey, what are some similarities, key similarities between the Mayans and the Egyptians?"
That's a good question.
Because my theory involves them both, right?
Okay.
So, interesting enough, all the things that we just covered, check this out. Key similarities: religion. Both civilizations had polytheistic religions. Architecture. Both civilizations were known for their impressive architectural feats. Pyramids, temples,
Understanding
pyramids,
of our
temples.
astrology.
Writing system, mathematics, agriculture, social hierarchy. All the things that we just covered about the Mayans, that was like, oh, this impressive. Egyptians are like identical.
What about
they're
the Aztecs?
identical. Aztecs are they came after. I mean, I could say, how about the Aztecs? Let's say, how about the Aztecs? But I know there's a lot of Aztecs that still exist today. There are also some similarities between the Aztecs: religion, agriculture, architecture, writing system, social hierarchy, and warfare. So yeah, they're pretty similar. They're pretty similar. But
In those specs.
yes, so now conspiracy theory time, right?
Yes.
So I'll start.
This is where it dives.
I'll start. So this is
So
my.
this is where everyone just stops listening.
So this is
Either
this
that or
is,
you start listening.
this is my batshit crazy conspiracy theory about the Mayans.
Yeah, he threw me
Okay.
for a fucking loop.
It's
I'm gonna tell you.
it's a reach. It's such a reach on so many different levels.
But is it though?
It is
Because
100%.
I mean, it's a reach, but I mean,
It's a reach. It's
all right. Like the conspiracy theory that you opened up with about burying everything in mud and everything,
Mhm,
you
mhm.
didn't sell me on it, right? It's
Right,
like,
right.
okay, you threw it out there, you pitched it, I didn't buy it,
Right.
right? But now
right.
this one, at first you would think, first blush, I don't believe you,
Right.
and I'm not buying. But we had a really good conversation on it.
So
So
let's talk about it. So the Mayans, one of the notable things about the Mayans is the pyramids.
Right.
One of the notable things about the Egyptians are the pyramids. Now these pyramids are very interesting, not only because they're incredible in size and in like accuracy, right, as far as how
Right.
they're positioned, but their alignment with like true north, their alignment with some stars, like all of these things makes you feel like there was some sort of calculation that had to take place for them to build these architectures for a specific purpose. Now, today to this day we still have no clue what the heck these pyramids were truly built for. We just think temples or societal, like,
or we had like an
Well-
overglorified king that really wanted a damn monument,
yeah.
and he wants to be buried somewhere in there.
Yeah.
No one's gonna find him.
It's like one day if someone finds like the Apple headquarters and they're like, why the fuck was this HQ so goddamn massive? It's because
And
Tim
then,
Cook
and,
had
and
a
then there's gonna be like, hold on,
yeah.
wait, there's a whole nother one.
whoa.
Yeah,
Someone,
what?
why does Google look the same?
Right.
But this is one of the reasons why I think these are so interesting is because, especially the Egyptian one. If you talk about the Egyptian one, we assume the Egyptians built the pyramids. By the way, we assume that there are possibilities, and there's actually they've dug up what's it called, architecture that leads back to like pre-Egyptian era. So you're like, wait, if there's architecture there, did the Egyptians just stumble across these structures and just like took over and just graffitied them and fucking just claimed them.
Like, hey, we like these things. We're gonna live around them.
We're settling. We're squatters now. This is our land. We're chilling here. This is where we sit. So the theory is this. This is where it gets a little weird. The theory is, what if these pyramids are actually a method of teleportation? All right, a method of jumping from access point to access point, right? Like if I were to be some sort of advanced, extremely advanced race that developed teleportation, let's just say 100,000 years ago, right?
Right.
And I wanted to build a teleportation device not out of aluminum and steel that's going to erode and fall apart in 100 years, but I wanted to build a teleportation device that would last millennia, right? It would last multiple millennia. And so if you wanted to do that, how would you build it, and how you would construct it out of things like granite and limestone or whatever that would last weather, last over.
It's not necessarily built from things that are in the ground or in there. It's actually built from the foundation of the ground, right?
Yep. And so you say to yourself, Miguel, well, that doesn't make any sense. If it's a teleportation device, where are they teleporting to? Teleporting from Egypt to the Mayan place and back and forth. And if they're so advanced, where'd they go?
But before you go there,
yes,
I want to go into what sparked this whole conversation, and it was about Antarctica. So I brought this whole thing up about why can we not fly north to south, and why can't we fly over Antarctica? And I was like, I really want to create a GoFundMe to really publicly fund a mission to go straight over Antarctica. And
you get
what
thrown
would
in
happen?
jail like that.
Probably, but
You'd get thrown in jail like that. It's like climbing to the top of the
he's
pyramid. They won't let you.
I'm not gonna. Right, I get that, but I was like, I really just want to push the initiative because it's like there's so many mysteries around it, and it's just like I'm tired of seeing them. Like I mean, we have the ability to do it now, so why can't we?
You're gonna end up like the flat earther that was in he wasn't even a flat earther. He was just a dude that was trying to get it fly a rocket into space on his own or some shit, and like the flat Earth community happened to like fund him bigly, and they like put flat Earth on the side of the rocket, ended up flying it into the air, didn't even hit the stratosphere. He just flew it into the air and then peacefully made his way down to his casket. That's gonna be you. You're gonna be like, oh, let's build a fucking rocket over Antarctica.
No, I'm not trying to build a rocket. No, I'm trying to get like a commercial plane or professional plane. Let's go
fly over it.
I'm not saying I want to fly over it.
No,
I'm just saying I want
the thing. The sketchy part, though, to your point, is why can't you?
That's my whole point. Is why
don't we make a gas station over there so that we can fuel up a plane and fly it back, or keep flying over it?
Exactly. Exactly. I know I'm not the only one with this thought, but this whole spark is where you're gonna go.
Yes. So the question of what is beyond the ice wall, what is beyond Antarctica? Well,
I look at Antarctica as a continent.
Yes, we all do, right?
Right, because I think that I can fly from the tip of like Africa, and I should be able to go down and around. Right? We are spherical, right? So
spherical.
I should be able to go down and around.
Correct. Yeah.
I should pop out like somewhere in America.
Exactly. Now, this is one of those conspiracies that's like you have to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. Like you have to go from crazy to batshit crazy to like get the fuck out of here. Like that. That's
how it's going.
So, okay,
remember we were talking about Mayans. And then we were talking about Antarctica and why we can't fly over it.
Yes. So, now, again, it's going to be really hard to explain how this conspiracy makes sense, but let's just say the piece of what we know as all of Earth is just that, a piece, right? So the 7 continents that exist today, North America, South America, Africa, and Asia, Europe, Australia, Antarctica, right? So all 7 of those continents that we know today are just a section of the Earth, right? And around the Earth is a band of ice, potentially, or even just a big chunk of ice. But if you keep going, there's actually more land. There's more land that's rich in all types of natural resources. It's just like a copy paste of what we know today. but it's far from our reach, and we don't know about it.
Right. So it's like it's another slice of Earth that it
Yes.
has all the same elements that we already have.
Yes.
Maybe more. Who knows? But at the same time, it's a carbon copy of what we're already dealing with, but just in another sliver.
Yes. Now, why? Okay. Why? Okay. Why? So why wouldn't they tell us about it? Great question. Why wouldn't they tell us about it? Well, let's just say.
Why would they?
Hear me out. Let's just say you're the Mayan civilization, or whatever built the pyramids, whatever civilization built the pyramids, right? Let's say you're that civilization, right? Let's pretend like it's not the Egyptians. And let's pretend like this civilization is so advanced that they have the knowledge to build a teleportation device, right? And they can build a teleportation device, again, out of natural earth elements that, weather, the times, or whatever, right? And you were like, you know what? We have this big chunk of land across Antarctica that we can, it's actually a much larger plot of land than what we know here on this side of Antarctica. Why don't we just continue our civilization on that end, use up those resources, and then we leave behind a portal for us to get back to this chunk of land to see how things are, maybe gather more additional resources, or, whatever the case is. But then you have, again, this like elitist group of people that are super advanced, that have all this technology, and they basically just want to say, hey, what happens if we leave the human race without technology for a bit? How quickly can they advance?
But go ahead.
And what else could we use this again, we think of the 7 continents as a massive amount of space.
Mm-hmm.
For all we know, it could be a very small amount of space, right? It could be 20% of what the Earth actually is. Again, this is all batshit crazy, I know. But like, let's just say that it's 20% of the actual land masses that we have on the planet, and there's 80% of land mass across Antarctica, right? So you have a whole civilization that's growing, expanding, whatever, and that civilization has this little. It's like why would you have a controlled group of like, let's say, oh look who's in the chat, it's Rob. What's up, Rob?
What up, Rob?
Let's say you have this controlled group of like lab rats, right? You have them inside of a little lab, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna test.
So you're saying that the advanced civilization is using us as the test lab?
100%. That's the theory, right? So the theory is
that could explain why we get crazy phenomenons and we get crazy plagues, COVID,
and why there's spikes in innovation at random points, right? Like I'm talking about, we were able to program rocks to have like the ability to create a whole internet system and whatever, right? Like semiconductors are fucking incredible. They're insane, right? But the theory is, if this is the case, if there is more beyond Antarctica that we don't know about, right? That's a booming civilization, right? That would explain, for example, UFO sightings, right? Because it's that civilization that is part of us, that's elite, that's hundreds of thousands of years older than us, that's more advanced, that maybe probably lives for fucking ever, for all we know. That civilization is coming over, just flying over, checking up on us, whatever. We spot them, we're like, oh look, it's a UFO from another planet. No, it's from our own planet, just from across the ice wall. It would also explain why, when you look up pictures of Earth, you never see an actual picture of Earth. It's always Photoshop pictures together. It's always a different color. It's always a different angle. It's always a different, fisheye lens that's applied to it. You never truly see what the actual Earth looks like from far away. You only see what we're able to see that NASA provides us, right? Now, if there are these advanced civilizations that live on the other side of the plot, let's just say, then you would have to have a method of infiltration. You wouldn't just want these people to go haywire, because what happens if they find out? What happens if they realize, right? So you have to have some sort of control. You would have to plant people all across the piece of land to rule these people and to lead these people into, hey, you don't know, you don't see, this is what you know, this is what you know.
Keep the blinders on.
Yes.
Move on. Keep civilization going. Keep this whole simulation going.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Right.
And so, if you need to make this all work, or if you want to make this all work, you have to leave without a trace. You have to, or whatever trace you leave behind, has to be only advanced enough for it to be believable that you're not this elitist race of, whatever, right? So, for example, the pyramids that just happen to be in Egypt potentially belong to the Egyptians. We don't really know 100%. Or maybe we do, and I'm just making shit up. But the pyramids that are there, they weren't built out of like, laser cut titanium,
No.
in semiconductors, and you don't have like 30-inch TVs all over them, right? Like you don't have any of that. It's just rock.
This is rock.
It's prehistoric, like not prehistoric, but it's old shit that you're like, okay, definitely not built by like an advanced race. It's definitely built by some not so smart, but for their era.
But to your point, right? So talking about the Mayas, and if they had like this advanced knowledge of astrology, mathematics, creating like the long calendar, that and they would be able to predict that what they were doing with their crops, and they would be able to predict, we would assume that they would be able to predict what the ultimate demise
Right.
of like their modern civilization would be.
Mhm.
And faced with those facts, now what would you do?
If I knew what was going to happen,
Yes,
I would bounce.
me too.
I'd leave. I'd say, "Oh, let me get in my teleportation device, go back home, let these dudes fight it out. I'm done."
Right, just leave all the knuckleheads away because
Yeah.
they don't got the
Yeah.
code.
You take your engineers and you back out.
Right.
Control Alt Delete. Right? So now you've backed out, right? All the people that created all these developments, the math, right? The astrological pinpointing, blah, whatever, right? All these chiefs and these head, people, you pull them all out, you teleport back to the mainland, and you'll leave the race to just fall apart on its own.
Right, you take all of the elitists.
Yeah.
Right, you take your top 1%, bounce.
Dude, imagine if tomorrow, like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Tim Cook, all the big, out of nowhere just said, you know what, peace out. All the NASA, head, top engineers at NASA, all these just said, all right, peace.
What do you think would happen at that point? So exactly what's going to happen?
Slowly.
No. Somebody's going to be left, right? Somebody
Mhm.
is going to have the mindset, okay, right now it's time to take over. So there's going to be hella warfare, internal warfare. We're going to tear each other apart because our economy is going to decline. We're going to go into starvation and fathom because we're not going to be able to maintain it.
Mhm.
Then there's going to be global war, and then it's just going to be
Collapse.
collapse.
Yeah, and then you reset.
And then somebody comes in and says, now I'm taking over.
Mm-hmm.
Spanish conquistador.
It's my shit.
It's my shit. Spanish conquistador.
Back up.
Insert, take over.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So, so the theory is there's an advanced civilization across the ice. The Earth is bigger than we know it, but we only know as much as they show us, right?
So what would it look like?
So picture what's that one planet?
Saturn?
Uranus? Hold on.
Don't talk about my ass that way.
Uranus.
Yeah.
I really hope
Uranus.
No, not Uranus. Hold on. Let me look up the planet that reminds me of what the Earth would look like if
Neptune?
it was. Whoa! Do not Google Venus. What the hell? Venus planet, please. No, not Venus planet. Maybe it's Mercury.
Might be Neptune.
Might be Neptune. It is Neptune. It's probably Neptune. Let's see. Neptune. Well, here's a good depiction. So if you look here, and I'm sorry, but you guys probably won't be able to see. Well, you can see a little bit, but if you look, there's this banding that happens all around the planet.
Right.
Right. So picture Earth, right? You have like maybe this part of the planet, right? You have your Pangea. You have your North America, South America, and you have like a barrier of ice, and then you have the rest of the Earth that we just don't know about. Or we could be on top, and then there's just a band of ice, and then there's the rest of the planet, right?
And then there's another band.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, who knows?
It could just be one band, could be two bands, could be three bands, who knows? But my theory is that there has to be a reason why Antarctica is extremely
protected.
Yeah, it's weird. It's ice,
it's
dude. Who gives a shit?
extremely
Let people
weird.
go out there, explore. No one tells you not to explore the ocean, right?
No, they're just like, go ahead, go dive
Go
as far
for
as
it.
you want.
Yeah, You're not gonna get very far
Right.
without like extreme technology.
And,
However-
and death. Yeah.
However, Antarctica,
Don't go over it.
bro, chill. What do you mean Antarctica? It's ice. No,
Right,
you
right.
can't do
No,
it.
No, we're gonna
What?
stop you at the gate.
That's what
Like,
I'm saying. It's
just don't
crazy.
even do
It's-
that.
It's in now. It could also be one of those things where it's like, oh, there's really nothing there, and it's too dangerous. They literally people sign up to go die trying to climb Mount Everest.
You're right.
No one's stopping those people. No one's saying, hey, bro, chill, right?
Or jumping out of a plane.
Yeah.
I want to go skydiving. F it.
Go
Whatever.
for it.
Go for it.
So
right?
it's not like they're protecting anyone, right? They're not protecting the people that want to explore.
They're
protecting
they're
something
some-
that's there
exactly.
or something that's beyond it. So again, that's my theory. Is that they're still around. The elite people that made up the Egyptian civilization, that made up the Mayan civilization, that made up some of the Chinese civilization, like the ancient ones, right? All those elitists that used to rule this part of the planet at one point, or that always ruled the other part of the planet, right? Came over, built teleportation portals so that they could come back and forth, drag, pull resources, pull people, pull whatever experiments they want to run, and then bounce. What did my boy say?
Bands to make her dance.
Bands to make, that's, yeah, the planet bands. But yeah,
Got it.
you have any theories about the Mayans?
No, I really didn't. So I mean, we were talking about the whole Antarctica and transportation and
Mhm.
the pyramids. I mean, that was the gist of my thing. So I was just genuinely curious about like how and where they went.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you have a valid theory. I wouldn't say valid. I would say you have a theory.
I have a theory.
You have a
100%.
theory about
I don't
the
even know
ice
if
wall.
it's valid.
And
Yeah.
it also goes into another conspiracy theory about Antarctica. And it's not that I'm not a flat earther. I'm not going to tell you that the earth is flat in any kind of stretch of the imagination. But I did not think about the layered earth theory beyond the ice wall. It's interesting, to say the least. But
All right. Oh, it's about to get spicy in here.
what'd you pull up?
So I just said, hey, Chad GTP. Said, we're in a podcast right now. Make up a wild and fake theory. Wild and fake, right? Wild and fake theory about the Egyptians and Mayans. It is said that the Egyptians and Mayans were two of the most advanced civilizations of their time, with incredible architectural feats and knowledge in astronomy and mathematics. But what if their knowledge was not just limited to these fields? My theory is that the Egyptians and Mayans were actually had contact with extraterrestrial beings.
Extraterrestrial.
Fuck you, who shared advanced knowledge and technology with them. This is evidenced by the similarities of their architectural designs, which seem to have been inspired by a common source. Additionally, both civilizations had deep fascination with celestial bodies and the stars, which could be interpreted as an attempt to communicate with their extraterrestrial mentors. Furthermore, it is possible that the pyramids of Egypt and Mayan temples were not just monuments of their respective gods, but also served as landing sites for their spacecrafts. The intricate carvings and hieroglyphs found within these structures could be even interpreted as instructions for operating these spacecrafts.
Now, there's also evidences of hieroglyphics depicting flying ships.
Yes, I've seen that.
Yes.
Where the dude's like on the inside, like maneuvering or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a strange theory at all. I don't think that's a conspiracy theory.
How?
I mean, I strongly believe that extraterrestrials have visited us, have been on this planet, stepped foot. We're probably dealing with them within the government in some capacity. So I don't think that that's unfathomable at all. And to give some semblance of guidance into an early civilization and giving them some guide stones, basically, to build a foundation on and build a civilization. Like, if you were a leader of a growing civilization and you're connected to, or you get contacted by somebody from a greater race or an advanced race,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they're coming in like, we want to help you build a successful civilization.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you need to do. These are your building blocks. This is how this works, how this works, how this works. Some semblance of mathematics. Go ham.
Go for it.
Go for it. We'll be watching.
And the crazy thing is that, like, to me, it's just some of the things that they developed in such a short period of time. And maybe it wasn't like that crazy of a short period, but some of the things that they developed, some of the things that they used, are so like, bro, how did you think of this? That it makes me think that someone said, hey, for example, the whole crops burning thing, right?
Right.
Like, imagine you're desperate because you're like, man, it takes forever to grow this freaking corn.
But I'm also gonna, okay, so it takes forever to burn, to grow this corn, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But
But
hold on, it takes forever on the second time that we grow it, right? But the first time we cut everything down, then we burnt everything.
yeah,
to
but what
begin with,
would cause them to burn it is my question.
to get it flat, right? Instead of going there and rooting up everything, right? So you're just gonna burn it to the best of your ability to clear out the top surface, which is then going to then put the nutrients into the ground, which then you get fertile ground. Then you grow your corn and do your thing.
So you have to rip out the corn to replant it.
Yes.
You can't just regrow it can't just, like, for example, I don't replant my perennials out front, right? Like,
No, those reseed. Right, and corn can reseed, but if you're going to then reap everything off of it, right? So you're gonna reap the seeds, the corn, to eat it. So at that point, you have to take the corn out, but it's taking all the nutrients with it, right?
mm-hmm.
But now if you burn all of that, you're not gonna put all the nutrients back in there. You're gonna put some of them in there. But now, if you're gonna plant corn, it might not be nutrient rich enough for corn, but you can plant another crop, and you can rotate them.
Yeah, but like the thing is, how did they know that, hey, burning this section of crops is going to give these extra mineral? How did they know?
I don't think.
How did they come up with that shit? They were like, oh, let's just burn it. What? You're gonna burn and plant on? How do you know that ashes
Well,
have
they were
any
also
sort of
burning
mineral?
people as sacrifice.
Exactly. I know that. I know what you're saying, but my question is, things like that. And for example, like the whole, like I think they were one of the first civilizations to like create what is it called, water pressure.
Yes, and irrigation. Yes.
Yeah, like they were like, oh yeah, if the water levels are above, you can then have water pressure for any sort of water going below. And they were one of the first, like, they created water pressure. They created this, the whole, they were in tune with the stars. They created mathematics. They developed all these things that they developed, and you're like, okay, how did they get from point A to point B so drastically quick? Like, if you and I that have all of this new knowledge, right?
Right, and one of the biggest things to take out of it though is it's like there's scholars that have come across like after the fact, like after the Mayans and after the Egyptians, and they get lots of publicity, right? You got Aristotle and you got plenty of
philosophers and shit.
Yeah, philosophers and everything that get a lot of play on what they're able to show in astrology and in all of this. But who in the not the Aztecs, but the Mayans, the Egyptians, is there anybody of that time period that is notated or anything of that nature? No.
There's no like,
but I mean, given
this dude from
but they weren't keeping chronicles or anything like a book or something like that.
Well, that's the thing. They were one of the first like civilizations to write stories and have medical records, dude. Like, that's like birth records. They were keeping track of that shit.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But where is it?
No,
I don't know. How do they know? I don't fucking know.
Took it with them.
They must have. I mean,
either that or it's under like 18 feet of mud.
But that's where the whole alien thing is like, you know what? You might not be wrong. And I feel like, so Elon Musk has this like passion to get the hell out of here. He really wants to build a spaceship and colonize another planet. Like, he's excited about that, right? Why? What is there on a desolate planet that you're like, hey, we got to go just colonize another planet that doesn't have water, doesn't have life? What makes you want to do that? I know you got the money for it.
Right, you got the money for it. I mean,
but
honestly, I mean, what I the added benefit of what I see in that is if you can identify a precious mineral or resource on said planet that could be mined or harvested in some capacity that could be a benefit to Earth, that would be a huge win, right? That's what we would want to do, right? And that would be a huge windfall for who could ever do it, right? It becomes one of the most precious things on Earth. It's so hard to get to.
Imagine we get to Mars, and there's pyramids on Mars.
They've, or was it?
Imagine.
Was it Mars that already had like their structures?
I don't know if it was
I thought
Mars.
I've seen
I saw cave systems. I think maybe.
I thought I'd seen images of not man-made, but some kind of not natural formed structure. If it was on Mars,
Let's see. Are there structures found on Mars? There have been many images of structures and formations on Mars that have been identified as potential evidence of artificial structures or constructions by some people.
yeah. What about the dark side of the moon? Right.
Or the moon in general.
The moon in general is a whole nother podcast.
I know.
Because it does. Okay.
I know.
Does the moon rotate? Or does it just kind of just do its thing and just rotate around us, right? And then also, if you there's numerous accounts and government documentation that says when they purposely hit the moon, it echoed like a bell.
Rung like a bell. Yeah. And it rang like a bell for like 30 minutes straight.
Even if the moon was porous, like it had just like pores going all the way through it.
Yeah.
Why would it do that?
Yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't do that. But now, if you look at any other, like, okay,
The only thing that rings like a bell, though, like if you think about it, the only thing that rings like a bell is like metal.
right,
Like you could hit a clay pot, and the clay pot would just go. Bloop.
right, okay. Given that our circumstance and where we are in relation to our sun, now our moon is unlike any other moon in the solar system.
Why is that?
I mean, it doesn't have. I didn't do too much research on this, but
I got you. Don't even worry about it, because I can ask chat.
But
Why? What makes the moon? What makes the Earth's
moon different from the
moon
others?
different from the others? Let's see what Mr. GTP sponsored guest on the show.
Sponsored
The
guest.
size. The
Thank
Earth's
you.
moon is the fifth largest moon in our solar system, and it is the largest moon relative to the size of the planet. In fact, the moon is about 1/4 the size of the Earth itself. Really, making it much larger than most other moons in our solar system. The distance. The moon is relatively close to the Earth, orbiting at an average distance of 238,000 miles. 239,000 miles. This proximity has allowed humans to study the moon in great detail and even send astronauts to its surface. Composition. The moon's composition is also unique. It's made mostly of rock and dust. Mostly. This is in contrast to many other moons in our solar system, which are mostly composed of ice and other minerals. Lack of atmosphere. The moon also lacks significant atmosphere. No weather, no air pressure, no protection from solar wind. This has important implications for the moon's geology and its suitability for human exploration. Tidal lock. Finally, the moon is tidally locked to the Earth, which means that it always shows the same face to Earth as it orbits. This has important effects on the moon's geology, as the constant gravitational forces from the Earth have caused the moon to bulge slightly and have created features such as the tidal bulges and the tidal locking itself. So yeah, the moon never spins.
Never spins, bro. It just sits there and looks at us.
So it's like we're holding it by its hands and just spinning it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Earth's gravitational pull is my arms, and it's just like you are staying here. It does not move. It does not rotate. And
that's insane.
The whole backside of it, we have no images. You ever seen images of the dark side of the moon?
How does that happen though?
I don't know.
Like,
but so now, what affects gravity, right? So gravity affects everything, right? So it affects you, me, any organism, right? So that's what's keeping us right here. It's keeping my fat ass in this chair. Right, gravity, right to the fucking center.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes into that, so it's organic matter that is pulling, right, rock, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Dude, here's my theory. This is stupid. But what if the moon is what fucked up the dinosaurs? The moon was actually an asteroid, smashed into the fucking Earth. It, as it was pulling
hold on.
away,
So you're saying
the Earth locked it in,
so
and it's just
you're
spinning.
you're saying the Earth is
Didn't
gonna
have
get
a moon originally.
okay. Oh, I follow you, but what I'm saying is, if it was an asteroid or it would be a meteor that big, and it was just traveling through space, just willy nilly, and then just crashes into the Earth, right?
That's batshit crazy.
If it's that's batshit crazy. But now, what's not so crazy? Let's say when the dinosaurs were existing, there was no moon. Now, the moon is so tied to the tides and the way that it creates our weather now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
without the moon before, and we had our atmosphere, we had everything, we were still spinning on an axis, so we would still have some semblance of motion and all this. We would still have weather. We would still be doing everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now, here comes this free moon.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's just like, wait, no, not going to hit us. But he's just like, I really like you, and I'm just going to sit there and look at you. Like, the entire time. And now it affects our tide, right? Because now it's going to affect, because our gravitational pull has changed. And now, as it's changed everything, now you're going to get this cataclysmic event that happens on the Earth because it shifted the whole tide system and everything. Then you get this huge slide of mud and storms and everything, and the organisms that are on there, like cockroaches, can survive anything, right? So who cares if you bury them in fucking mud, right? And crocodiles too, right?
Yeah.
Crocodiles are like, I mean, you got to spear them in the fucking head, but at the same time, everything else is gonna get tore the fuck up.
Robert said it sounds like a giant satellite. Exactly.
Bingo.
Fucking or a space station.
No. What's on the backside?
What?
We don't know. So here's my theory.
Hit it.
All right. So my theory is, unlike yours, where there's another advanced civilization outside of the ice wall, right? So I think that yes, the earlier civilizations were impacted by extraterrestrials and they were visited, right? But now, how do they keep an eye on them when they can't refuel their ships from everywhere, right? So they're gonna have to do somewhere. They're gonna have to dock somewhere, right? Backside of the fucking moon, right? So you go to the backside. We got this covered. We're in complete darkness, homie. And you know what? We don't even gotta be
behind closed doors, baby.
We're behind closed doors because it's hollow, homie.
Shit.
Right. This is my big garage, dog. This is my big ass garage, right?
That'd be the perfect. Honestly, that would be the if you could, like, if you had the right technology to land on the backside of the moon, and create like a little spot there to just chill out, we would never see you.
Never. That moon doesn't change.
No.
And
we would be too much. We'd be too pussy to even go back there.
Hell yeah.
What's that movie called? Apollo 11 or Apollo 9, whatever, where it's like monsters on the dark side of the moon.
I don't remember.
Well, we'd be too pussy 100%.
Hell yeah.
100%. But I asked ChatGPT. I said, "Hey, what are some theories? What are some theories that could support the moon being a meteor that killed the dinosaurs?" And it said, "Well, there's no scientific evidence, right?"
I can't get behind a meteor that big, the 1/4 of the size of the Earth, hitting the Earth, and there's not being half of the Earth missing.
If we were to explore the hypothetical scenario,
ChatGPT just turned British.
The scenario, the moon. Here are some theories that could support the moon being a meteor that did kill the dinosaurs. The moon was created as a result of the impact. One theory is that the moon was formed as a result of a giant impact between a Mars-sized object and the Earth, which ejected a large amount of material into orbit, eventually coalesced to form the moon. If the impact also caused the extinction of the dinosaur, it could be argued that the moon was indirectly responsible. You have the moon's gravitational effects caused additional impacts. Another theory is that the moon's gravitational influence on the Earth's orbit may have caused additional impact from asteroids or comets that were already in the vicinity of the Earth. This could have amplified the effects of the initial impact. Also, the moon's absence would have prevented the extinction. A counterfactual theory is that if the moon had not been present, the Earth's orbit and rotation would have been different, which could have prevented the impact that caused the extinction of the dinosaurs. What did Rob say?
He said that they say that the moon affects the ocean water. What makes up 60% of our body? Water does. The brain, the heart are composed of 73% water. The lungs are about 83%. Skin contains 64% water. Muscles and kidneys are 79%, and even the bones are watery at 31%. So, I don't think. Okay, it controls the water as an effect of the gravity. So it affects the position of. No, I know, I hear you, but my argument to that is it affects the ocean water the most. That's where we're going to see the biggest impact, and where we can say that the moon has the biggest impact is on the ocean water, creating the tides in and out. But what is it actually doing? It's displacing the gravitational pull of the Earth, right? So that's what it's displacing. It's not displacing the water. It's displacing the water itself, but it's displacing gravity. So as much as it affects the water, it affects us. Because if the moon wasn't there, it wouldn't affect us as humans. Like, it's going to create chaos, but it's going to create exactly what happened to the dinosaurs again to us if the moon was not there. If they just pack up and leave and say, hey, my garage is going out. Like, Elon, I like what you got going over there.
I'm gonna back up Rob on this with one additional thing. We only know what we know, which is that water, we're whatever percent water, and water is affected by gravity, whatever, right? But let me just suggest this. What if there is an element, or what if there is an effect or some sort of property that is that affects water in a way that we don't know yet. For example, today you don't, like, if I were to tell you today, hey, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, and you go back 800 years and you tell that to someone, they're gonna be like, what, bro? You're fucking crazy. What do you mean that there's a cell? They're gonna be like, you're telling me that we're made up of a bunch of little dots?
Right.
No, you're fucking crazy right now. What if I told you that water has this effect on your brain that allows you to think a certain way, and the position of the moon, or the how close the moon is, or how big the moon is, or how much of the moon is shown, affects that chemical that is reacting in your brain a certain amount, right? Then you'd say, oh, wait a minute. So then if I'm a Pisces, that's why my mood is the way that it is, because my chemical composition is affected by the position of Saturn, or whatever the bullshit, right?
Right. That's Rob's whole argument.
Well, I'm just backing him up with
right. I get it.
How can you support it?
I can see supporting it in that method.
Right. Like, you have no clue. You
right, I don't, but scientifically speaking, that it's the effect of the gravity.
Yeah.
Right.
Scientifically. So what we know
today. Okay. I'll give you that caveat. And I also see this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we were to reach beyond what we know and say, okay, what if it's possible that something else is happening that we don't know of yet within our brain, or within the water that makes up 70% of our body, like it becomes like to speak in scientific terms, it becomes 30% more alkaline or 10% more acidic, and that's why your mood changes. Or that's why. And here's another thing to back him up. Layla was born on a full moon, right? The story behind the day she was born is that we woke up one day, we thought her water had broken. We're like, all right, let's run to the hospital. We pack up our shit. We go to the hospital. No, you're good. Baby's fine. They have her, in the triage, strapped up to the machine that checks the heartbeat or whatever. And mind you, we're there and it's fucking packed. We're like, God damn. The triage is never this busy, right? It's never this busy. We always go and it's like 2-3 people. All the beds are empty. We're in and out, right? That day, it was fucking packed, okay? On the heart monitor, out of nowhere, Layla's heart starts to drop. And we're like, oh shit. A doctor rushes in. She's like, hey, did you move or something? We're like, no, we're just sitting here. All right, get up. And they start doing all this crazy shit. Finally, her heart comes back to normal, right? Starts beating normal. And they're like, all right, now we got to get her out today. We don't want to risk her sitting on her umbilical cord or whatever was happening.
Whatever was happening,
we got to yank her out.
We got to go.
So they put her into labor. And the nurse is like, what do you know? Full moon. Like, what do you mean? And we had just watched an episode of 9/11 on Netflix. Sponsored? No. 9/11 on Netflix that was exactly about that. On a full, and if you look up full moon episode 9/11, it's like the firemen pull up to like a yoga class and they're like, holy shit, there's all these people giving birth today. And they're just running from place to place on a full moon night, giving, like, helping with labor. Because that's how fucking crazy it gets. And literally, I'm telling you, the full moon caused all of these people in the triage that day to want to go into labor. Why? And why is it such a common occurrence that a full moon causes this to happen? What does the moon affect in a human body?
All right, I'm going to ask anybody out there that watches this, respond to the comments and just kind of give me some more scientific backing to this other than Miguel's and Rob's theory on full moon. And
I'm going to look up what are some theories that explain full moon and labor and pregnant women, pregnant women going into labor. The idea that there's a connection between the full moon and pregnant women going into labor is a common belief that's been around for centuries.
What?
Increased light at night is one theory. The full moon may disrupt a pregnant woman's circadian rhythms.
Okay.
Which could in turn affect hormonal balance that regulates labor. However, studies have found no significant differences. Gravitational effects, Rob.
Hey there.
Another theory is that the gravitational pull of the moon may somehow affect the amniotic fluid in a pregnant woman's body, causing it to shift or destabilize, which could trigger labor.
Of water.
However, no evidence to support it. Psychological effects. Some researchers have suggested that association between full moon may be psychological. For example, midwives and may be more likely to schedule inductions or deliveries around the full moon. That I do not believe, because we had no idea that it was even. We don't track the moon. We don't give a shit about the moon. We're not like astrologists. We're not into astrology. We're not.
I was gonna. I
was gonna. Like, oh, it's full moon.
No. I was gonna ask, like, how the hell do you remember if it was a full moon or not? Because I mean,
I only remember because the nurse was like, "What do you know? Full moon," and I was like, "What? We just watched an episode on this shit."
Right. No, I mean, we had a scheduled C-section, so that didn't happen. But but still.
Explain it?
I can't. I can't fucking explain it.
You know why? Because we don't know enough about the moon yet. But once we know,
but see, it affects us in that nature, and it also affects the water. So now just imagine that moon wasn't always there. It had to have come from somewhere, like out of the blue.
Had to.
And if the Earth was just spinning around doing its thing, and we got all these dinosaurs, like, this place is lush and green, it's awesome, and all this other stuff, and all of a sudden, the moon shows up. There goes the fucking neighborhood. And now it's gonna just it is. I mean, there it goes.
The neighborhood.
Right. I mean, it's gonna fuck up everything. Yeah. All of the gravitational pull, everything. It's gonna cause massive storms that we haven't even seen. Probably storms that raged on, like what you see going on in Jupiter.
Yeah.
It probably happened for. Yeah. I don't know.
Imagine if you had no moon. Imagine how clear the night sky would look without the moon
up there.
Yeah. Like, I feel like you would be.
You ever been to a dark park?
No, never.
Oh my god, you gotta go.
Yeah, never.
No, they're interesting.
Can you see a lot?
Yeah, no. It's wide open, and we literally had to walk back about 1.5 miles into the woods, and there's signs everywhere. It's a dark park. It's a national dark park, and you walk back. And you can't turn your lights on. If you turn your light on your phone,
mm-hmm.
You get to do this little trick right here where you just cover it with your finger so everything is red, so that it doesn't block the light. And honestly, you can see so much.
Really?
Because of the light pollution. The light pollution cuts down on what you can see as far as like the smaller stars and everything. And if you imagine back in those dates, like the Mayans and the Egyptians, where it's dark, right? You just got firelight, and all you got is just open sky. You
Dude,
don't got that light pollution.
dude,
You could see everything.
you'd be obsessed
So,
with what
so
you see. You'd be like, oh, it's like TV.
right. I
Like,
mean, you
oh
got people
shit,
sleeping on motherfucking day to sit there and look at the
staring
stars
at the
all night.
stars. Oh, dude, yeah, no wonder they were so fucking obsessed with that shit. I mean, it's like if out of nowhere you create a television, people would become obsessed with television, right?
Right.
People would be just staring at their TVs all day, like, oh, how fucking amazing this TV. That'd be us at night, fucking staring at the stars
Right.
every single night. As soon as now, what if the people that built the pyramid again? I'm just assuming that the Egyptians
They were trying to get closer to the stars.
Well, there's
I mean,
if we want to do biblical reference, right? Tower of Babel, right?
Okay, you're going into a realm
So,
I am not familiar with.
Tower of Babel. The story of the Tower of Babel is that the Babylonians got together.
Okay.
Oh, and actually, I don't even know if it's the Babylonians. That might be bullshit. But there was a group of people that all spoke. So back in the day, right? Everyone spoke the same language. Everyone understood each other, right? And so the Tower of Babel is it was a collective effort to build a tower big enough to be able to get into the sky closer to God. And God was like, no, chill out. Don't do that. Zap, it basically split up those people, separated all of them, had them all speak different languages, and that's why they called it the Tower of Babel, because it felt like everyone was babbling. They couldn't understand each other anymore. And so everyone started speaking these different languages. And so then they couldn't finish the tower because
They couldn't communicate.
They couldn't communicate. And so there's like it just went unfinished. And so those are similar efforts, right? People trying to get up into space or trying to get to the moon. Driving through what?
He said, I think when we were talking about the stars and it just being like there's no light pollution, I think that's
Driving
what he's
through North
alluding
Dakota.
to. Driving through North Dakota. I mean, when I was in Montana,
Pitch black.
oh my God,
Pitch black.
you could just see everything.
We're gonna take a pause real quick. I'm gonna go take a piss. I'm just gonna switch this up so that you're not sitting here awkwardly in front of the camera.
That's great. I appreciate you.
We will be right mother trucking. Be right back. I'm good. You want this or?
Yeah.
Here's a cup. If you want to waterfall it, I don't know. Not sponsored. All right, and I'll wait till you sit back down.
After the bio break.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Still got 3 viewers.
What was that?
So we still got 3 people on.
Yeah, Rob is still here.
Rob's still a
Poncho's still here. We got the OG. I wonder. Poncho said he wanted to come talk theories with us at some point, and I'm sure Rob's gonna join us.
Yeah, I would love to talk sports too. Just
too bad, man.
I know I could go deep.
All right, you want to talk sports? Let's see. What sports do I know?
You don't know shit. Come on, you don't even know soccer. I don't know soccer either.
Hold on. What the fuck? What do you mean you don't even know soccer?
I don't
like
know
I'm
soccer.
supposed to know soccer because I'm Mexican. You fucking. You don't even know soccer. Fucking disgrace.
That was it's remarkable.
You don't even know
Not
soccer,
even gonna
bro.
lie.
No, but let's see. I know. Okay. This is gonna be stereotypical. I know Mexican League soccer between 2007 to like 2011. Like while I was in high school, I was in it, dude. I
You were
was
living,
rocking the
breathing.
Mexican League shirts and stuff, and I was watching every single
I'm
game.
sure you still have one, don't you?
I left him at my mom's house.
Ah.
The only jersey I have today, like with me, is a Cabrera jersey. That's
Okay.
all I have. I have a Cabrera baseball jersey.
Okay.
And I've seen a total of 1 baseball game in my life.
One?
1.
Was it at Tiger Stadium or Comerica?
I don't fucking know.
How old were you?
I don't even think I watched it at. No, it was at Comerica. No, the original, the one before the Comerica. You know, they knocked it down.
Tiger Stadium.
I went to the Tiger Stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I went to the Tiger Stadium with my mom when I was like probably, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 years old. The people behind us had a big pizza. They gave me a piece of their pizza. And that's all I remember. I remember what was going on in the field, none of that. All I remember is I had some pepperoni pizza from the people behind us. That's all I remember.
Yeah, I went to Tiger Stadium a few times. I don't remember it because I was fairly young at the time. But I've been to Comerica quite a few times.
Yeah?
Yeah, Comerica it's really, really nice. And I actually traveling for work. And it was I think it was the second time I traveled ever. I was going on a trip with Rich Shear. I was going with him to a show in Philadelphia. It's a great experience. And literally it was my birthday. And I just happened to be there. And he was like, "So what do you want to do?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Well, it's your birthday, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I was like, "But it's whatever."
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just whatever.
I don't celebrate.
Well, no, I was like 25, and
It wasn't a big deal at that point.
it wasn't a big deal, right? It was just. I mean, I was.
You were 25, so it's like what, 20 years ago?
Shut the fuck up. No. That would have
Say
been
what,
11 years ago.
11 years ago?
Yeah.
Damn.
But no, he was like, "Let's go to a baseball game."
Rich never had hair, by the way, right?
Never.
Okay,
No.
since you knew him.
No.
He was like the
he looked the
mayor of the Simpsons.
He looked the same.
Yeah.
But no, he took me to a Philadelphia ball game. In the Philadelphia ballpark. It was really nice. It was really cool. Good experience.
See, Rich was always a cool person to travel with because he was always in it for the treat parts. He was always in it for like the good parts of the
Yeah,
travel.
yeah, no,
He's
like,
all right, we worked hard, but let's reward ourselves with a little something.
right.
Be
I gotta
dinner,
tell
whatever.
this story though. So we literally we leave and we're going to go buy tickets. We're gonna buy them at the will call or like right at the stadium itself, right? So I mean, again, 11 years ago we didn't have like the super smartphones that we could buy tickets and just go pick them up and all this other stuff. We weren't that savvy at the time.
Yeah,
So
10 years ago
we
is what it
leave and we didn't even know how to get to the ballpark. We had a Garmin, so we have
No way.
Yeah,
That's that back in the day.
Yes, yeah.
Damn.
So we get the Garmin going, get there, and
I forgot you used to have to rent those. Back
yeah,
in
we
the
had to
day.
rent them too. So that was
That's
great.
crazy. Holy
That
shit.
was great. But so we don't know where to park because obviously we're not familiar with it. So he sees like this VIP parking lot that's literally right next to the front door to the ballpark, and he's like,
Fuck it.
"Fuck it." So
That's rich.
so
100%.
he pulls in, and the lady looking for the tickets, she's like, "Okay, can I see your tickets and your pass?" And he's like, "Well, I'm going to get the tickets from the will call," and he's like, "I forgot my pass." And she's like, "Well, sir, you're gonna need your pass." He's like, "You really gonna make me go back to the hotel right now?" And she's like, "What's your name?" He's like, "Rich." And she's like, "Hold on. What's your last name?" He's like, "Does it fucking matter?" And I'm like, and she's like, "Hold on, sir." And he's like, "I'm really getting fucking irritated." He's like, "I gotta get in there." And then she's like, "Okay, go ahead, sir."
No way.
Yeah, so just pulled into the VIP parking lot.
No
Literally
way.
got like a front row spot right there. Walked right across one
It's
street.
confidence, dude.
Right.
It's all about the confidence.
He's like, one thing I can tell you. He's like, act like you own it.
100%.
And I was like, damn.
100%. The confidence is what gets you in.
And I'm going to tell
the
you what. Have
confidence
I
is-
ever
you know
had
how-
that moment? Hell no.
No.
But
if you wanted to, all it takes is you being like,
it's great.
do you know who the fuck you're talking to? And just keep that in the back of your head
Oh
for
my
a
god,
second.
it was great.
I can't believe you have the nerve to ask me for my last fucking name. Are you shitting me? I need to get in here. Please, hurry the fuck up.
Right.
Oh, sorry, sir.
Exactly. No, they didn't want an altercation. They just wanted you to go.
Yeah.
I was like, damn.
Rich was good though. Rich, he whenever I'd see him like sell one of our printers to a customer, his level of confidence in what he was selling was insane. He'd be fucking, yeah, this machine gets 50 micron accuracy and you can print crazy parts and the part
Yeah,
size.
it's gonna print you a
and
kidney.
you can see
yeah.
and we do some we'll land on the moon shit. Oh, damn. I'll take 10.
Right.
Fucking Rich. I don't think my first trade show I went to was with Rich. The very first trade show I went
That's
to
odd.
was IMTS.
Okay.
Chicago.
That's a big one.
Rich, my buddy Edwin dropped me off.
I've never been there.
No, you never been to IMTS?
Mm-mm.
Once every 2 years,
I know, I've never been there.
and it's massive.
I know.
It's
I've
massive.
never been there.
Well, I hated it mainly because here's the thing.
because it was
Back
Chicago.
those days, back in the day,
Oh,
you set up the whole fucking thing.
yeah, bro.
There was no Freeman, brothers coming out to help you
Mm-mm.
set up. Nah, you built that shit with like it was like you were building a whole event.
Do you remember the sets that we
I
had?
hated that shit. Dude,
So-
the click and click.
Oh, okay? So you had that? Yes, the big clickety clack one that you
and
had
it had
put
the
together.
shitty piece of paper that had gone through like 70 shows.
Yeah, it was
so it's
great.
all falling apart. No one ever laminated
Yes.
the shit. Yeah.
Yes,
And so
we did not own a laminator.
Yeah, no, we go to IMTS. We get and my buddy drops me off in where were we like the Lansing area, Ann Arbor. He picks me up from Ann Arbor. We drive out. I'm excited. I still have a picture on my Instagram from that day. I took a picture of he rented a Cadillac because he always was.
Oh,
in
yeah,
style.
yeah.
That's Rich. I remember I took a picture. I had like my Fossil watch, and I was all excited. I took a picture of my Fossil watch with the Cadillac Dash or whatever on my first trip. And I posted it to my Instagram. We get out there, and I don't know what I'm in for at all.
No.
I don't know what I'm in for. And I just pull up to the
Hell
booth, my little backpack, and it's just like emptiness, crates. I'm like, what is this? He's like, oh, we got to start popping these open. Huh?
Yeah.
Pop, get the popping, buddy. I'm like, what? No fucking way we're out here. I thought I would just had to sell the machines.
No. You didn't even think about selling them. You were there just to support them and get them up and running, right?
No, but I'm just gonna answer technical questions.
Yeah.
Whatever. And no, and so we start opening shit, tearing shit apart. And we're not at the show by ourselves, by the way. It's myself, it's Rich, it's whoever other probably
Yeah,
Garage
yeah.
and whoever else was selling at the time. And him and I were pissed. Why? We pull up, and we're there, the day of setup. We're there for 7 hours straight,
Getting
putting
it
this
set
booth
up.
together, putting
Right.
the 3SP up, pouring material in because our buddy wanted to make sure every single show
And I've set up
had
the
a
three
printer.
SPs before, and I know that.
pain in the dick.
Yeah, because you need a high-low to come in and grab
Yeah,
it.
Just lift the thing up and put it. Or you need 3 strong men or
And-
women. I'm
and
sorry.
a hernia.
You just need 3 to 4 strong people. Get the thing up on the stand and call it a day. So we set everything up. 7 hours later, no one is there to help us. We
Right.
did all of it by ourselves. And I'm just sitting there sweating, and I'm like, oh my god, that was fucking terrible. He's like, yeah, yeah. Wait till we have to tear it down. When you're done with the show, your feet hurt, and you still got to tear the whole thing down, put it back in its box.
Not to mention the 3 or 4 hour wait that you have to wait to get your
For
crates.
the freaking crates.
Yeah.
Wait for the freaking high low to be. I do not miss those days one fucking bit.
No.
And
no.
and I remember that
Not at
night.
all.
But this is the nice part about Rich. We worked our asses off that day. We were fucking tired, and he takes me to Twin Anchors. Did you ever go to Twin Anchors with him in Chicago?
No.
Dude, when I tell you, the Twin Anchors has the best ribs I have ever had in my life. Fall off the bone. Beautiful flavor. Amazing little hole in the wall this guy knew about. He took me to this place and it was just incredible. Well worth the 7 hours of working my ass off to eat some really good food. Oh, and then he took me to CES in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. I've never been to that show either.
That show's okay. That one was a treat. That one was a real. IMTS was okay, but it was very like bare bones. When I say bare bones, I mean like modular. Like, oh, we're selling this component, we're selling that componment, we sell this CNC machine. And CES was like out of the box shit.
It's glitz and glam.
Yeah, you're like, I mean, they had like VR headsets and augmented reality headsets and the BMW i8 drive,
well,
whatever.
The consumer electronics.
Yeah, it was all the crazy electronics. And I remember going to see. I only got to go to it once. But I remember going to CES again. It was really. We got to stay at the hotel, the Luxor, which is shaped like a fucking pyramid. Funny enough.
Funny.
And it's all connected. But we go to the Luxor, and that night we go out. We get some food at this Mexican restaurant that he loved in the area. It's not on the. It wasn't on the. What do they call it? Not the strip. It was like right off the strip. It was.
Yeah.
In the town. We go to this Mexican restaurant. Michelada tacos, whatever. It was great. Then at the end of the night, he's like, "Hey guys, I bought you guys cigars. We're gonna celebrate because we had a good show for the first night." Oh, sweet. I've never had a cigar in my life. Glad I get to give you your first one. Cuts the end, all that shit, whatever. Gives it to me, right? And I go to take my first puff, right? And I just inhale the whole puff. Like I inhaled the whole thing. And I'm choking, dude. I'm choking my fucking lungs out. Horribly. And Harach and Rich are just sitting there staring at me, and they're like, yeah, he's going to throw up. Yeah, he's going to throw up. Give it a second. And I'm sitting there just coughing out. He's like, oh, wait, here it comes. And I hear him saying this shit while I'm about to fucking puke, and I don't puke.
Right.
Keep it in. All right. But yeah, sure shit, I almost like died that night. My dumbass goes back to the hotel room, and I finish the cigar in my fucking hotel room.
Why'd you do that?
Because I'm fucking stupid. And I didn't know the smell was going to linger the entire time I was there.
Yeah.
It was the worst thing ever. Every night I went to bed. Every morning I woke up. Every little
And not
thing.
only that, but did you not get charged for a cleaning fee?
No. It was a smoking room.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, then. Never mind.
I fucking regretted it, though. 100%. Never again.
Yeah,
Never again.
No. Cigars stink.
Yeah. No, but it's funny because those are probably the two favorite shows I've been to.
My favorite show are A-Mug.
A-Mug is great.
A-Mug is a treat.
I got to go with Lynn.
Yeah, I know. You got to go to the one down in Miami?
Florida. And no, it was in Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, and you got to go on a riverboat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. I got to go to Chicago, and I got to go to Missouri twice, and Chicago again. And so I've done it a total of I think 4 times. It's a treat every time. I mean, they cater 100%. To you. It's so good.
It's weird that it's a show.
It's not even a show.
It's just like hanging out.
It's not a sell show. It's really not. It's more of a networking type.
Yeah.
Kind of.
You just go to socialize.
You go to socialize with
like-minded
like-minded people, and
Mm-hmm.
you sit there and you get to go into conferences where they're talking about great successes that they and how they've implemented and the way that they see the market going and doing different things like that. So it was really, really cool. But I mean, the treat is the mystery trip.
I didn't even go on my mystery trip. It was a NASCAR event. Well, not a NASCAR. It was like a race car, some shit.
You didn't go?
No, I didn't go.
When was this, in Missouri?
No, I was in Jacksonville.
Oh, I thought that was the riverboat, or the show was on the riverboat.
No.
Oh.
No, it was in Florida for sure.
Oh.
But I don't remember. I remember it being because I went with it was Lynn Cabot, John Hartner, was a few of us, and I was the only one that didn't end up. I was my social anxiety didn't let me go. I was just being a pussy.
You didn't want to go.
Yeah, no, I was like, no, I can't. I'm gonna freak out. But the day that we got there, so we were all so obviously leadership was strict.
Yes.
And so it was like, are you gonna drink? Or are you not gonna drink? You're meant to drink.
You gotta
what
play.
do you do, right? This is the first year John Hartner was working with us, and John Hartner was a cool, relaxed, we're here for business. We're here to sell. I don't know why, but he was here to sell. But hey, if you had a beer in your hand, it wasn't a big deal, right?
So you thought?
Yeah. Well, no, he was legit. It was cool. So I'm sitting there drinking my beer, right? I look over at Lynn, and he's like 3 beers in. And this guy doesn't drink beer usually, right? So he's 3 beers in, and he's fucking he's swiveling a little bit. He's slurring. He's like, and I'm just like, dude, you're.
We gotta get you out of here, man.
Yeah, let's pack you up.
Things time we.
Yeah, we bounce it. Yeah, and so, but yeah, that's it's definitely a treat. A mug.
Yeah, I got a story, another one. It was. I'll give the stripped down version, but it was rapid. It was out in Long Beach, California. Long story short, Rahul and I we learned that the bars stay open till 4 a.m. when we're accustomed to 2 a.m. And we started, it was like the day before the last day. So it was the night before the last day of the show. The last day of the show was like 4 hours long. It starts at 9, ends at 1. No one's really there, and it's really slow, and everyone's just kind of gearing up for the teardown. Right? So we all went out. It was company sponsored. Like, okay, John Hartner again. And he's like, okay, big group dinner, family style, P.F. Chang's, let's do it. So we go out there, and all right, and then we had Mike Shemansky and that team.
What the hell was Mike Shemansky doing out there?
I have no idea, but he was there.
He's hanging out?
I don't know. He was hanging out, but he was there. And so after this, like, there was a group of us that were like, yeah, we're gonna go out and get a drink. And Mike was like, yeah, let's go out. So we went out to another bar, to another place, got a couple drinks. Company gave us 2 drinks and everything. We had Keith from Harbeck. Keith,
really?
Yes, and he was KOL in our booth, right? So we were out, and Rahul and I took a liking to Keith, and we kind of formulated this little group. So after the 2 drinks at this bar, we decided that we were going to go bar hopping. So we went bar hopping, and 7 Long Islands later.
Long Island.
Long Island.
Slurring words.
Slurring words. It was bad. It was really, really bad. This is why Matt does not drink when he travels. If he travels anymore for work, period, or if I'm traveling out of state for any reason, things can get bad really, really fast, and things could have been a really bad situation. But needless to say,
I've been there with you, so yeah, I know.
Yes, and it could have been way worse than what happened. But so at the end of the day, it ended up with just me and Rahul. We closed out a bar. I had like 2 Long Islands still in my hand. Double fisting. I had to slam them down, and then I happened to convince. This was not a great idea. To convince somebody else I'd pay their bar tab in a bar at 4 a.m. if they would drive me and my friend back to the hotel that was only blocks away. But we were too inebriated to even walk.
No way.
So we did this, right? So then there was an altercation with a corner bum dude. I don't know if he was homeless or not, but he was hanging around the corners and all.
At 4 a.m. it sounds like.
At 4 a.m.
Potentially.
But every time that we were bouncing around a bar, he was always at the corner, and he was friendly. We were asking him, "Hey, where's another bar?" And he would just point us in that direction, follow us that way, and we would walk out, and he would still be there. So, but anyway, I paid this guy's bar tab. It was like $12. He was gonna give myself and Rahul a ride back to the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So we orchestrate that, but the guy that was sitting on the corner was like, "Hey man, can I get a ride?" I was like, "Dude, you gotta talk to the driver. It's not my car, right? I worked this out for me and my buddy, not you." And he started giving me crap about it, and I was like, "I don't really got time for this. I'm just gonna get the car." So anyway, he talked to the dude and he got in the car, but he was still wanting to argue with me about it in the car. So we were arguing back and forth the whole entire way. Again, we're only blocks away, so it's like just a quick left, up a few blocks, pull into a parking lot, boom, get out, and we're there.
You could have walked, but you were like, nah.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
stumbling my way home.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna fucking bust my face.
Yeah.
Right. So either way, so we get out, and dude jumps out of the car like he wanted to do something, and just like a normal like a guy move, right? So as soon as like you want to do something, what do? You put your chest right on him, right?
What?
So that's what he did. That's what he did. Is he kind of just?
Oh,
like,
he did that to you?
Yeah, he did that to me.
Oh,
And like I was like just walking by. I was just gonna go to the hotel. I was done, and he literally like put all of his weight into my shoulder, and just like was like continuing like jaw jacking right here in my face. So I did not hit him.
You didn't hit him?
No,
Dude,
no, no, no,
self
no.
control.
So but what I did do
Wow.
is I did turn to him, and as I turned to him, he kind of like came
He
back
kissed
like he
you.
was gonna do something.
Oh.
Right? No, he didn't kiss me. Fucker. No.
Passionate. All right.
No, but he did kind of like clinch up like this. But I literally grabbed him by the arms, like right underneath the armpit, so you can't really move your arms too much. And I grabbed him and I threw him up onto the car, and I just held him there for a minute. Liquid courage, liquid strength.
Let him think about what he did for a sec.
Right. No. I just told him, I'm like,
a child.
I'm like, dude, I'm just gonna go to the hotel. I'm done. I don't want any more of this.
Leave me alone.
Just like
let it go.
We're done. I'm gonna put you down.
Yeah.
So he calmed down. I put him down. I walked away. But Rahul. So
No.
I get to the front door.
Rahul?
You're right,
One and beef?
No. I get to the front door of the hotel and I turn around. I thought Rahul was gonna be right there. He wasn't there. He's sitting over there talking to those two fucks. I'm like, what the fuck? So I go back over there, and okay, we're in Long Beach, and why I don't look for a trolley track in the middle of a road is beyond me. But I didn't see it, so I kick it with my foot. And as I kick it with my foot, I instantly like trip and fall straight on my knee.
No.
And as I fall straight on my knee, okay, again, inebriated.
Dude thinks you're proposing.
No, I'm drunk. I'm drunk as fuck. Sorry. So anyway, I fall directly on my knee. My knee takes the brunt of my weight in the impact right onto the cement, and then I roll. And I had like an electronic cigarette in my pocket because Rahul was wearing skinny jeans. He couldn't carry it. So either way, this part later. So I fucked myself up pretty bad, but to the point where I'm drunk and I don't really feel it given the circumstances.
Yeah.
So I pop up and I just walk limpingly over to Rahul. I'm like, yo, what's going on? I don't know what it is, but you gotta go. Like, we got a show to do tomorrow. You got, like, the night's done, man. I'm sorry.
I'm a nose.
Like,
it's 4 in the morning. Bro. We gotta wake up in 2 hours.
Right. So we didn't know it was 4. Right? I didn't know it was 4. No one did. I did not know. So literally,
you go strike a time when you get fucked
so
up.
No, we got into the hotel and then I looked at my phone and it was 4 o'clock. I was like, what? No, it was 4:30, and I'm like, what? So then Rahul was sitting there, we were bullshitting and everything, and then I went to the room and threw up and did all this. No, and then I woke up the next day and I was like, my knee was like the size of a softball. I had a huge bruise on my leg. It was so bad.
What happened?
And then no, we're like 2 blocks away from the show, right? And it's like you gotta walk it or call an Uber.
Yeah,
I call it fucking Uber because I was. I mean, I took a shower.
Up,
I took a shower and everything, but after throwing up, you still have it like in your nostril.
Yeah, you still feel it.
So you still smell it and feel it, and it's just like, I got up, I got there on time. Like,
you're also hung over as shit.
Oh, I was toast.
Yeah,
I was useless.
Dude,
I was
not want to be in your shoes.
I was useless. Rahul, ghost.
I remember this.
Did not show up.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And I covered his ass.
Yeah, you did. And I remember the policy that came out like the following week. The 2-drink maximum. Do not drink while you're at a show.
Yeah, it's pretty
Al sent out literally like the following week.
Yeah.
He was furious.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Rahul or if it was me or if it was anybody else, but
it was Rahul for sure. I remember that.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. That's all I remember.
Man.
I don't.
The only time I've ever gone out drinking is the time that we were in St. Louis for something.
It wasn't you and I.
Yeah, it was you and I. Me, you, and the kid from.
That was in Chicago.
Yeah, was that Chicago?
It was in Chicago. Where?
But he was from St. Louis.
Yeah, he was from St. Louis, but we
Corey.
Corey, yes, from CMC.
Forestident.
And
Sorry, I don't know if I should be saying these company names.
no. We're name dropping. I don't
Yeah,
know.
Corey. Yeah, we went out bowling. We got the big ass bowling keg
Yeah,
thing.
well, yeah, the little self tapping
Yeah,
little thing you
yeah.
fill your beer.
Yeah,
It was a good time.
got pretty fucked up that day.
It was pretty good.
It wasn't terrible.
No, all right, but getting back to the meat and potatoes of what we were actually talking about instead of
Oh, the civilization of the Mayans. No, I think. So to wrap up,
yeah,
whatever happened to the Mayan civilization, I think is definitely evidence of, your civilization will get to a certain point, and either it gets too big, and there's too many people that want power, too much politics involved, too many shifting tides, right? Too much friction, and so things start to slowly break apart and collapse. And so that's that's probably the obvious thing that happened, right?
and do you think that during that point of collapse, like when it's starting to fracture, that's when like a superior race is going to then
Well,
intervene?
I think you have to justify why there's pyramids, right? I think if for example, if I were to,
but I don't think you alluded to it though, because you were getting into it about the pyramids. You talked about the pyramids being some form of transport.
it's the theory is the pyramids are a teleportation device, right? Teleportation device that can withstand weather, whatever, right? And so now you can't just leave your teleportation device out in the wild and have people find it and be like, "Oh shit, what the fuck is this portal?"
Just walk through it
That's like
right?
it has an Intel processor in it, right? You're like, well, you have to make it look like it's some sort of ancient relic, right? That's like, oh, this is just a temple. They used to pray here, or they buried someone in the basement, right? But we don't know anything. We don't know enough about the pyramids to even know what the heck they were built for, right? There's speculation. There's theories that it's like a place of burial, or but the way that the Egyptian pyramids are built, it's very much. I mean, they even almost they're similar to like transistors or semiconductors, and so you have these things scattered across the globe or across what we know as the globe. And so if you were to go back 100,000 years, let's just say, and you wanted to create some sort of teleportation device that would just blend in and over time be this question mark that you can never put your finger on, well, you would then have things where like different civilizations are built around these things because they're so incredible and so, meaningful to them because they're like, oh, this must have been from the gods or something, right? And so, or we've conquered them, right? So all we know, we don't really know much more beyond that. We don't have like video from back then, but if you're clever enough and you say, hey, I wanna hide this teleportation device so that I can come back and forth between our human experiment of these 7 continents that we're experimenting with. Let them breed, let them do their thing. We're gonna come back and harvest organs or harvest disease or harvest medicine or harvest technology or
It's
just
not
see
even
what
about
happens.
harvesting, but at the same time, it's also we can introduce like trial as far as plagues and sicknesses
Yeah,
and how is it
yeah.
going to affect us and how can we overcome it and so on and so forth. Or it could also be like they insert those as far as plagues
Yeah.
to keep our population in check,
Yeah.
right? Because I mean, if they're an advanced race, they have the advanced statistics on us
Yeah.
and what we need to do to keep our portion of our stuff in control.
Yeah, and then you have things like the Georgia Guidestones that pop up out of nowhere, right? That no one knows where they came from, and I think in the last couple years it was actually destroyed by some sort of random explosion. Have you heard of the Georgia Guidestones?
Yeah, you told me about
Yeah,
it.
so these stones are basically just like weird instructions that give people or leadership kind of a rule of thumb as to how to rule the the population into a sustainable place where it's like, hey, make sure the population is around this amount and control the population via X, Y, and Z disease and drought and famine and whatever. And so if you look at us as like a again, if we're rats in a lab,
Or
right,
stimulation.
or something like that, right? So but again, back to the pyramids and the Mayans, it's like if you have this civilization that is this grand, this huge, this advanced, this fucking smart, right? Fucking smart, dude. Like you gotta be fucking talented to get to where you got to, right? To know this much about math and astrology and not astrology, astronomy and agriculture and water pressure and all this shit. You got to be fucking just brilliant. And for your entire civilization and all the things you had going for you to collapse, either someone pulled the plug, right, and said, "All right, we're bouncing. I think we've done enough. We've kickstarted this process. We're moving out." Or you just have this thing where your civilization gets too greedy, people get too powerful, and things start to fuck up, right? People start to want power. People want, start to create chaos, create war, disagree in extreme ways where it's like, hey, your way of living is affecting my way of living, and I want to take you out, shit like that.
Right.
And so
society?
yeah. So I think, but I definitely think that there is a possibility that the thing that made the Mayans special, or the special group of people that made the Mayans special, are still out there, and they're just not on this part of the planet anymore. They're either on a different part of the planet or on the dark side of the moon.
I don't think they're on the dark side of the moon, homie. I think that's the superior. Like, I think that's the extraterrestrial race. I don't strongly believe. I just believe that the backside of the moon is a landing pad for various forms of extraterrestrial life that come to visit our solar system and use it as some method of either stopping or tracking us or doing something, and then they send smaller ships that are less vulnerable to being seen, and they kind of scout and just see what the hell's going on.
Yeah. I mean, it's the perfect hideout of all fucking hideouts. I mean, again, the ocean is unexplored, right? But or there's pieces of the ocean that are unexplored, but there's risk there, right? We can easily, not easily, I shouldn't say easily. You can explore it slowly, whereas the moon, it's a long shot, right? Like, it's a long shot for some civilian to create a spaceship, even with a fucking drone or something of that nature, to be able to explore and just drive around. It's a long shot. So I think if you were to make a hideout, that'd be the right place to make a hideout.
Hypothetically, hear me out.
All right.
But now, see, the gravitational pull is going to affects the Earth in many different ways. But now, what happens if there's a key spot inside of the moon that, when it aligns with the correct pyramid at a certain time, that it opens up the gate?
Stargates. Have you heard of Stargates?
I have.
All right. Well, how about we do this? That's an excellent
segue.
That's an excellent segue into our next podcast. So what we'll do is we'll do some research on Stargates. I think that's an interesting topic to talk about. And I feel like if we keep this whole thing connected, where it's like, all right, this week we talked about the Mayans,
right,
and where they might have went. The next one can be a continuation of this conversation and how it's connected. And then who knows, maybe we'll connect the next conversation to the next episode.
We'll just keep it running.
Yeah, no, I think that works. But I think that this is a good place to call it quits. I thought this was pretty cool.
I thought it was better than I expected.
Yeah, I feel like it was a good conversation. I feel like it went a lot of different ways.
It was good banter.
So, and we just need a whiteboard right here.
Honestly, that's one of the best tools that we have, that we work with when we're trying to orchestrate our crazy theories. Is there's always fortunately for us where we work, there's always a whiteboard in like arm's reach, anywhere. Yeah. So there's always a whiteboard to write on. So we need to get a whiteboard here. 100%. I even mentioned it.
Yeah. So we will get a whiteboard right here, just like long ways for us to draw on.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, you could. This is perfect right here. This is absolutely perfect.
Yes, that would be perfect.
I also have a projector. We can use this for a lot too. Who knows? This will just evolve.
Yeah. No, I like this idea. Yeah.
I like it. All right, awesome. All right, well, thank you, Pancho. Thank you, Rob, for joining us. Thank you to anyone else who stopped by. I'll clip this up and put some videos on TikTok, just the conversation, some highlights, see how it does.
Yeah,
But really excited for us to continue this next week,
absolutely.
and we'll talk about some Stargates.
Let's go.
All right. Thank you for joining.
Thanks, everyone.
This